No turning back. We have our ancestors with us. We're going to continue to dance with them. Dreaming them. Calling them. Being them. We are becoming what we were.
It is part of that Mayan prophecies.
7 triangles of light.
Keep walking. You are the spirit of Unapku. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapku.
People who say that the gods made them from corn. They planned their lives according to the heavens. Well versed in astronomy, using a sophisticated mathematics, they calculated the movements of the night sky thousands of years into the past and thousands of years into the future. They knew that the universe moved in cycles. Their lives were ruled by the rhythms of the natural world, planting and harvesting, birth and death, just as the great tree of life emerges from the earth.
Always, they're connected. Science and religion.
In dreams, we learn from the Maya gods when to plant and when to harvest, when to set the fire, and when to do the corn ceremony.
What we're digging up, what we're coming up with is part of our history. And the men that lived here are some of the greatest men we've ever had. And it's a fact that we're getting to know more and more and more about the life of these people.
They still maintain their customs. They still maintain their ways of organizing their societies. And it's very exciting to see how much of the ancient Maya way of life is still alive and well.
Because American history does not begin in 1492 with Columbus. It begins in 200 BC with the first Maya king who wrote his nameless stone. What is happening now is the people who made these places, people like Yashpak or Bird Jaguar or Fakal, are getting back their voices. They are becoming real to us and speaking to the people of the 20th century about who built this place and why and what they felt and what they thought about the world. These are not anonymous people anymore.
You are the spirit of Unapku. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapku.
Yo, Zero.
Yo. Lost Aslan.
Last Aslan Native Podcast. Welcome back, guys. We took a little break, a much needed break, man. Zero, man. I really respect your grind. You're a full-blown legendary indigenous hip-hop artist, producer, and entrepreneur.
Yeah. It's going good at Malinali. Things are forming there that are powerful, like, you know, groups of kids and families and things are like starting to participate together, you know, and enjoying each other's company and understanding the challenges of getting along. So it's been a lot of work. And so when we took this break, it kind of helped me breathe because, you know, sometimes you don't realize how much you invest into the community that's outside of you. You know, really our priority should be our families and our loved ones if you don't have families. But when you're a community artist, you're obligated to do whatever you can to affect the community around you. And that's what I've been doing with Malinali Superfoods, and that's what we've been doing collectively with LA Natives Podcast.
Well, I want to talk about plant-based Aslan. You've done, I think, 4 of them so far now, right?
It's getting cool, man. Like, there's some really cool indigenous artists, and it's starting to become...
And for new listeners that don't know what plant-based Aslan is, go ahead and break it down.
Well, plant-based Aslan is an indigenous market we have once a month. It's the first Sunday of every month, and it's at 4528 Whittier Boulevard, which is the Malinali Kali. And it's been unique because we got some really great clothing vendors, jewelry vendors, a lot of alternative herbs, like, you know, holistic approaches. We got 2 masseuses that do it from an indigenous perspective, not a Swedish massage, you know, like you get at a spa, more like a healing massage. You know, there's certain things that affect the body, and they recognize that. You know, my partner, shout out to Jenny, she's a master at that. You know, when she massages pregnant women, she has to get their uncomforts away from them anyways, but we have that there.
Yeah.
At Plant-Based Aslan. We have a DJ, you know, shout out to Jen. You know, she's starting off her DJ career there, and she plays some really good music. And so,
And is that Survive
is always welcome. Any DJ that works with us is but he hasn't been to Plant-Based Aslan just yet.
So who's Jen?
Jen is Jenny's friend.
Oh, Jenny's friend.
Yeah, she started her DJing thing.
Oh, wow. At Plant-Based
Yeah,
Aslan.
yeah, and they did a really good job this last Plant-Based Aslan. It's her and Adam, actually. Her and Adam. It's not just Jen.
So before we get into our very special guest, Top Paul from Minnesota.
Yep.
I'm super honored. We are super humbled that he is joining our podcast tonight. But before we move forward, we have to talk about the open mic night.
Absolutely.
It's coming down Friday, April 8th at the Malinani Superfoods, 4528 Whittier Boulevard. How has that been going?
That's been good, and we're trying to be consistent with it. That's why we're having it this Friday. You know, we just usually have a little break between events, but you know what? Our community wants a place to go every week, every place, you know, like an alternative to what corporations offer us, which is bars, restaurants, things, movie theaters.
And places like that, you're never yourself.
You're trying to impress.
You're trying to fit in and impress. Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, I got the $300 sneakers. Did you see that guy? You know, it's like stupid shit. You know, right here at Plant-Based Aslan and at Open Mic and at Malinali Superfoods in general, you're going there because the vibe is ancestral, it's healing, it's communal, no judgment. Everybody's at their own level, beginner to advanced. And that's what Plant-Based Aslan really is.
I love the beginners, man. I've been to a few of them, and man, they are nervous before they hit the mic, but they have the motivation to show up and sign up.
They're not scared to do it there, you know, because they see my niece. Shout out to Atsi, which is Jenny's niece. Man,
she's hardcore.
Woo, she sings really good. And it's like, but you know, you see an 11-year-old express themselves like that, and you go, well, I write poetry, or I want to express this part. You know, I read this. It doesn't have to be poetry, man. You could read something that you read in a book, and you felt like that part hit you so much, you want to share it with the community. You want to share it with the world. You want to share it with whoever's there, right? Because it impacted. That's what that open mic is there for, you know? So, I talked to Teso Somok. He's probably going to show up tomorrow.
The legendary Teso Somok, man. Quite honestly, one of the dopest indigenous spoken word artists in the world.
Top 5, easy.
Top 5, easy.
That fool was bad.
Like, literally top 5. For me, he's top 3.
Yeah, he's bad.
Well, maybe number 1. I can't really think of anyone else.
He's a master poet. That guy, that's what I told him. I go, look, dude, if you show up on Friday, it's an honor for them to see you, because you see structure in the poetry. You see.
Let's make sure he has a set on June 25th.
Yeah, let's do that.
I want to make sure that happens, man. Because
that's in the works.
Oh,
you know?
Man, guys, June 25th, 2022. If anyone was there last year, you guys know what we're gonna bring. That venue was at capacity. There was over 250, 300 people there. We had about 6 to 8 vendors. Some of the best indigenous hip hop artists there, man. And now we're bringing the program back. But we got surprise headliners that we are planning to bring out.
Yeah.
We're planning to fly them out. We will be announcing them really, really, really soon. Shout out to Boogsy. He's in the chat.
Boogs. I haven't forgotten, bro. Believe me, I haven't forgotten. You know what we're talking about. So
yes. He just said he ran out of the Malinani Superfood.
I know that's what we're talking about. I had to get to. It's because I opened the store at 7:30, and I don't leave there till 7:30 at night. So Now I have to just be like, okay, cool. I have to take at least 30 minutes to do this.
Right. Now, anyone that's watching us live, all you early birds, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. If there's any indigenous hip hop artists you guys want on this show that hasn't been interviewed yet, please make sure you guys leave it in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are doing everything we can to get to 1,000 subscribers, guys. We're at about 650. Just get us to 1,000 and we will be happy. Right, Zero?
Yeah, I was about to talk about that. Like, it's really important if you feel like, because I get some people come to the store and say how important this show is to them, or the events that we put on, or the workshops that we offer, how important it is. It's not, it ultimately is our job to promote it, but the best movements start grassroots, word to mouth. Recommend your family, your friends, your nephew, whoever it is. Get them on this show, because this is the same thing that happens at Malinali Kali, but we're virtual, right? So it's important. We should, I hate to say this, but the challenge is LA Natives, LA Podcast, we should have already been at 2,000, 3,000.
Yep.
We should have been transcontinental. This is a Nawak we're talking about. And we're at the mega city of this continent, bro, Los Angeles.
But yet, when we organize the events, they come out by the droves.
No, I'm not trying to rag on anybody. I'm just saying, let's do our part to share. Me and you take a long time to get here.
Yes.
I work, 14 hours a day, and I still feel excited to come and do this podcast. All we ask is that you share this message with other people so that we can have a strong community.
But
so we can have a strong economic base.
But we appreciate everyone watching, though. A lot of people watch and listen. Absolutely. But just take that extra step, share it to someone that is not familiar with our podcast, and most importantly, tell them to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you are not subscribed, subscribe yourself.
Look, I'm gonna move on from the subject, but I want you guys to be very clear. We're in a very particular time right here. Okay, we're in a time where we can develop our community to be self-sustaining if we share the information, each one teach one, right? If you're into this at a high level, you've been studying it for 20 years, great. You should have 100 people watching this show, right? If you're an entry level dude, you should have 20 people watching this show, because you're gonna interest 20 people. Now, when you come to the show, we're gonna make it mutually beneficial, monetarily, materially, with like clothing, jewelry. We have to make it so that we're swishing the energy around our community. So it's going to be mutual benefiting to understand that the NFT launches that we're going to do from this show can be monetarily beneficial to you. We need to be strong. We need to be one community. We need to be one continent. And it's time. We should have already been at 1,000. Yep. And I appreciate everybody. The 600 that we have, I hug you and know that I still grind it out at Malinali. And I'll still come and do this podcast with all my heart and all my love.
And you're writing some of the dopest new material that I can't wait till people listen to.
Yeah, we got Global Pandemic coming out, and we got Urban Native. Those are 2 songs produced by DJ Warlock 1. Right? So
Global Pandemic was produced by DJ Warlock 1?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Urban Native is produced by DJ Warlock 1. Quinto Soul, the singer of Quinto Soul, produced my Global Pandemic. Because that's like
going to be hard.
These are 2 very different hip-hop approaches that I'm taking. Like I was telling Armando before the podcast that I feel like I'm behind in my sound. Like I'm 4 years, 5 years behind in my sound, because I would usually be in my studio daily. But I used to own a business and hard times hit. And I wasn't afforded that anymore. Until Armando came and said, hey, let's do LA Natives. Actually, he wanted me to put out a record. And we said this before on the podcast. But I said, let's do a podcast. Let's do this. And we started doing it. And now we're here. And now we need you. And this community needs to be solid. It needs to be 100,000.
Right. And we have a very special guest in the building. He's from Minnesota, Tall Paul. We're about to bring him in. in about 10, 15 seconds, guys.
Absolutely. So I hope people don't, I'm saying this with fire because we have an opportunity to help each other, right? Armando knows many hip hop artists. We can put on many shows. We know so many graphic design artists. We can create our own community through this NFT world. We have so many connections, but we need to be united. We need to be at one central point of information that spans off into other podcasts, because I know there's other podcasts out there. We need to be we're in Los Angeles. And this is why I like interviewing up and coming hip hop artists that I feel, that are not from Los Angeles. This is our opportunity to showcase somebody outside of Los Angeles,
Minnesota.
which is Minnesota.
Let's go ahead and-
which is Tall Paul.
Let's go ahead and bring in Tall Paul.
Yo.
Yo.
Hey, what up, y'all? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yo, man, I want to thank you again. I know I thanked you off air, but man, on air, guys, I want to thank you humbly and respectfully for joining our podcast, brother. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all being inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, well, I made it Armando and I had an idea of like showcasing individuals that are indigenous background. Not necessarily have to have an indigenous message, because we talk to a lot of indigenous artists like that are focused more on hip hop side of things. You know what I mean? Which is probably, I've listened to some of your music, which is more really boom bap and really fire. But to really showcase people from Los Angeles, when you get an interview in Los Angeles, especially with the groups, the people and the crowd that we're cultivating here, it's starting to become a movement. So when you come on LA Natives, that you become a part of that. You know what I mean? And
Part of that ecosystem.
Yeah, that ecosystem. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Where we're gonna tell our audience to go listen to you. Go listen to this person, support this person, share this person, follow him.
Buy his merch.
He's relevant. He's relevant to our message collectively, and whatever that is. Because on LA Natives, we don't judge. We don't do any of that. We've had Christian rappers. And people know how I feel about religion. But I don't judge because they're Christian. I let everybody have their voice.
But they fall into the quote unquote native or indigenous hip hop category.
Yeah, and that's their message.
That's if it's a category.
And that's their message,
Yeah.
So, because I know Superman has some Christian songs.
Right. So Tall Paul, I have a question for you. Talking about categories, is indigenous hip hop a quote unquote category for you? Or is native hip hop a category? Or are you just like strictly hip hop, bro?
I think I'm naturally a part of native hip hop or indigenous hip hop just because I identify as that. Obviously, it's a big part of who I am in my life. But also definitely, I just feel like I'm a hip hop artist in general, At one point, I kind of felt like, native hip hop was kind of putting native MCs into a box that would kind of keep us gridlocked to just that community and not enable us to get outside of that. But as I grew over time, I realized that it was actually, not an issue. It's not an issue, and it's beneficial, if anything. It's part of what makes us different, and our perspectives as indigenous MCs are important, and they definitely make us different. So it's something I embrace.
That's a very good point, because I think across the races of the world, they always turn around and listen to somebody who is native, right? Even in the movies, like, oh, wow, there's the wise native. He's going to say something. Or somebody, comes across, save Mother Earth. It usually comes from a native mouth, right? To do it in a modern sense through hip hop, what are your motivations? Like, what is your root source of inspiration when you write?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I could talk about what got me into it, man. What got me into it is I just wanted to inspire people and motivate people. That's really what got me into hip hop as an MC, was just being an inspiration and a motivator for others. Because growing up like I did, music was an inspiration and a motivator for me. So I just wanted to reciprocate that energy.
That's dope. And what age did you start?
I started writing when I was like 13, 14 years old or so.
Wow. That's good. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then when did you feel like, okay, cool? Because I know I relate with you because that's the time I started my poetry, right? But I didn't feel confident about what I've written. What like this would be like inside of me, right? I don't know if you went through this, but I was pretty insecure about all the writings that I've had, privately, not in the public or when people talked about whatever I wrote. I was always confident, but privately I was like, damn, someone's gonna find out that I'm not that good. Right. When did you ever feel that, or when did you feel that you didn't have? There came a point where I was just like, wow, I spent a lot of time writing these poems, so naturally I have to be very good at it. Right.
Yeah, yeah. So that's an
Did you
interesting
ever
thing.
experience something like that?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like even to this day, sometimes I experience a little bit of that.
Hmm.
One way I think of it is like when I write a song, that's like a picture in that time frame or in that timeline of my life, you know. So a song I wrote 8 years ago or something, I may not feel the same as I did back then.
Mm.
And you know, that may or may not lead me to take that song offline, you know, depending on the content and how much I disagree with it now or whatnot.
Hmm.
I feel like everything's every day is a snapshot in our lives, and that we grow and evolve and change all the time.
Hmm.
You know, there's still points when I take music down that I no longer either don't like it like aesthetically or sonically, or else I don't like something about what I said. That's something I actually do quite often, you know. But yeah, it's just part of my process, you know, just trying to make sure that my music is reflecting um my views currently, but also reflecting some that I would want my kids to listen to
Hmm.
and hear from me, because that's a big thing, you know, like even when I'm dead and gone, my voice is still gonna be on record. And you know, what do I want to be remembered for? What is my legacy gonna be? So there's some things, you know, I had some controversial music in my own opinion from some years ago that I took down just because I was like, you know what? That's where I was at that point in time in my life, but I've matured a little bit, and you know, I now got a son that's growing up and things like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's
That's
it's
interesting.
different.
That's interesting. This is the first time I've heard an artist say that I've taken down like like you're talking about from Spotify, right? Or like whatever.
Yeah, or
YouTube.
Bandcamp, whatever it might be. Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever heard an artist, because even when you create something a whole long time ago, you never feel like you're like, oh, I don't want people to hear that no more. At least that's the way I feel, you know? Because, but now that you said that, I could relate to it. Maybe because when I started pressing music, you had to actually press it, so you can't really take it back unless all the CDs are lost or thrown away or given away, right? Then you just don't press more. But nowadays, it's like on a sticky paper on the web, and you're like, ah, fuck it, I don't like this one no more. I'm just gonna take it down, right? And that's it's a crazy evolution. That's why I feel myself that I'm behind like 4 or 5 years in creating and start to finish, uploading it, all that. It's interesting perspective to hear that coming from you. It's a
Yeah.
cool perspective where you can do that, and it's almost like artists going through a phase that they only paint in blue, right? And because that's what they thought was cool at the time, right? And maybe it didn't take off, maybe it did, and if it did, they're like, oh, I don't want to ever paint in blue again. Where their most money made was when they painted in blue, which is crazy. What I'm saying, it's very hard to, as an artist, to take anything down, right? Or to say, I'm not going to do that. The best ones do that. The best ones go, I'm going to evolve into something different. I can't sound nothing like that. And to take it off and to not even have people reference it is an interesting thing.
I actually respect artists that choose to take down some of their older material.
Right.
Because sometimes it could just bite you in the ass. Once you get to a certain level in your career.
Sure. I agree.
But yet there's other artists.
If you're gonna go corporate, like
Yes.
when you talk corporate mainstream,
Yes. Yes.
venture. Do you aspire to be that corporate mainstream?
Nah, not at this point. There was a point in time where, you know, I had I wouldn't say I necessarily aspired it. I would say that if it got to that point, I would have welcomed it. But
Mhm.
now it's not something that I think about. And I just kind of it's just more about the music in general.
So you're strictly like independent. So you'll produce your shirts and you'll produce your music, and you're not going to rely on anybody but yourself to create this.
Oh
Like
no, I still rely on other people, but as far as like going like major, it was never like a focused goal of mine to get a record deal or anything like that. You know what I mean?
okay,
I just wanted
okay.
to make the music that felt good to my soul,
Hmm.
and then whoever naturally related to that, that was cool.
And do you have a distributor now? You have a label you work with now, or
No, I don't got no label. I just do everything myself as far as distribution goes. I
right.
use them mainstream distributors like DistroKid.
Hmm.
I got homies who make beats and stuff like that because I don't produce my beats.
Oh,
So I
that's
got
cool.
producers. I got producers I work with. Sound engineers and things like that.
That's cool.
Collaborators. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not like on no label.
that's cool. Well, that's what I was trying to say is that
He keeps it underground.
yeah, well, I mean, those are the
And that's what
most
we're all
that's
about.
real money though, really, honestly. When you do it like your way you're doing it, that's when you see real like monetization of whatever it is because it's going to be how clever you are about monetizing your lyrics or whatever it is because it has to go onto some sort of a merchandise, right?
Yeah, most definitely. I heard y'all talking a little bit about NFTs. I'd be excited to see what y'all come up with.
Yeah, over here, where since we do live in Los Angeles, we have so many opportunities to tie in what they call in live events to the NFTs, and there's so many artists out here. So yeah, we're in talks. We're ready to launch. Actually, one of Aurelio's friends is a CEO who funds NFTs. They're just more the computer side, right? So there's a lot of opportunity, and that's what I was trying to say at the beginning of the podcast is like it's kind of like what we're doing with you brothers. Like you're from Minnesota and we have a little bit of a niche audience out here in Los Angeles, and we want to expose your music to it because Armando he spends a lot of time trying to figure out who we're going to interview, and the fact that you're on this show means that you have a message. So that's what we try to do is expose you to Los Angeles market, and when you come down here, we try to put if you're available and if Armando feels like we're gonna do a show and stuff like that, like we're gonna do with on June 25th. We set up shows down here, so it's really of a network of indigenous artists that are reclaiming their indigeneity and using their social media and platforms to really help create an economy within our community, right? Because I would love for you to come on this podcast and say, "Hey, man, I sold 10 shirts after it." That'd be love. I would feel like very happy about that. If you sold 100, 1,000, that's the point, right? That we have to have this communal thing because we used to, as indigenous people, trade a lot. I'm sure we went, hey, we're gonna go to this direction, and when we go that direction, we'll always stop here, and we're gonna trade this with them, and we're gonna eat, and we're gonna commiserate or whatever. So we're trying to create an indigenous network through LA Natives podcast, and so exposing you to this market is like priority. You know.
No, yeah, I appreciate that. It's dope what y'all are doing. I love LA. Been out there a few times, and it's always love. I love being just out there in the sun, in the sand and the water and all that. Coming
Okay.
from Minnesota, I especially appreciate that.
Yeah, when Felipe used to come from Los Nativos, he used to always want to go to the beach. And I just thought it was weird. Like, it's like, why do you want to go to the beach? And it's like, dude, I live in Minnesota. Like,
Yeah.
my friend Chilan was the same way. He was like, dude, we got to go to the beach right now. And I'm like, bro, you just got here. He's like, dude, I live in Arizona. There's no beach there. I got to go. So
Yeah.
cool. So we would go. So I understand
Yeah,
the
definitely.
fascination with it. But so have you ever made music out here?
Now I've never made no music out there. I've done shows out. I've done a few shows out there. In California in general.
Well, that's cool. Where
Yeah.
have you played?
I did a college up in San Luis Obispo, a
Oh,
college
okay.
right around LA. You know what I mean? Like y'all
Santa
got a
Barbara?
lot of little
Okay.
districts or whatever you call them in Los Angeles. So I don't know what's considered Los
Oh,
Angeles or
but you
what's
did like
considered.
college venues.
Yeah, college venues out in the Los Angeles area and
Cool.
yeah, stuff like that.
Right on. Well, Armando books the Catch One here in Los Angeles. It's on Pico, and it's a pretty cool premiere. It's like an old jazz club that they converted, and it's a really dope venue. So we've been putting shows on there, and hopefully one day, we can invite you out there and you can share your message. But you know, kind of give people the gist of what you rap about or what your message is.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It can be different, I feel like
Or talk
one of
about your
my
latest track. Your latest track.
my latest track. So I just released the EP actually, so I could talk about. And I mean that EP. The theme of this EP is called it's Future Ancestors is what it's called, and the theme of it was just thinking about the fact that we're all here living today, but we're future ancestors. So I try to think about future generations and inspire my listeners to think about future generations in their actions. You know what I mean, and in their words and their thoughts. And it's from anything from like financial literacy to our spirituality and just the way we behave and act on a daily basis.
I like
So
that. I like the
yeah,
title of the EP, Future
yeah,
Ancestors. That's a really cool concept. Because we always do things, and I think it's a cooler way of saying 7 generations, right? Because we do things for the 7 generations.
yep.
That's
So it's
dope.
the same thing, yeah, same concept. Just thinking ahead, thinking about what am I going to leave behind for my grandkids? What teachings will I leave them? What values am I instilling in my son so that he can instill those same values in his kids if he has any,
Mhm.
so that's really what
And that's
drew.
what I
And,
also
and and do you know what I noticed a lot about your music, Tall Paul, that you incorporate financial independence in your music, bro. You're really big on that, man. It's give us a little bit of background on that.
Yeah, so when 2020 came, music wise, as far as like my career went financially, 2020 was gonna be the best year of my music career.
mm,
And then, the pandemic hit and everything was like canceled within a few days. So I was just like, whoa, you know what I mean? And then that made me realize like I gotta pick up some different hustles outside of music and some pandemic proof, recession proof hustles and things like that. And also get into, making this money work for me and not just where we're working, the quote unquote 9 to 5 for money, because um it's important that our money can grow instead of being stagnant in a bank account that gets 0.02 interest on it. You know what I mean? When inflation's at like damn near 8%. So you're losing money just keeping it in a regular checking account. So yeah, I just got inspired to learn more about financial literacy and investing, saving money, doing all of that, life insurance. I was getting into all these different topics, learning about them. And then I started investing myself because of what happened with all my gigs getting canceled in 2020. So yeah,
damn.
that's kind of how that started. I mean, I was, there was also always a subtle interest in it. I can remember, probably 5, 10 years ago, thinking about investing in stocks and things like that. I just never dug in.
hmm hmm So you saw success with that during the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a get rich quick thing, you know what I mean? Not unless you make a lot of money, and I definitely don't make a lot of money, but it's more of a get rich slow type of thing, and being smart about it because you can also lose money in it, obviously. But
Mhm.
I am seeing some success, a little. It gives you hope when you invest your money, and
And where do
you
you
see
and
it
do you
you
have it
see
in
it grow.
crypto?
You know what I mean? You said
Y-
what?
Are you have it in you do you have it in crypto? Is that what you're talking about? Crypto
Oh,
or
I got some in crypto, got some in stocks, and then I also got some NFTs.
Oh, cool. So
Those
you
are a
do
little bit more speculative, but yeah, yep.
you've done the NFT stuff.
A little bit, yep. Yeah, I've
That's cool.
invested in some NFTs and things like that. Yep.
My buddy was on the other day on the podcast. It was like 2 or 3 podcasts ago, and we were talking about, and he's done most of the investment in NFTs, and it's done really really well. Like I asked him, "Oh, how's it going with your NFT thing?" He's all life changing. When someone says life changing, that means he hit some homers with that one. And
Yeah.
and the cool thing is that I like about him is again he's coming back to me, and I'm associated with the LA Natives podcast, and he's telling me this is what you have to do and this is how you could do it, and this is the new move, and And so I want to bring that to the community as well, just like your education or financial literacy, because that's important, man. If we can learn that at 15 years old and get a grasp of it, understand it, you won't just go get a credit card and just fucking be in debt by the time you're like 22.
So many people are so impatient on growing their wealth, right?
You know a lot about
Yeah, I know a lot about it. I personally have a M1 finance account, a good pie, and I only invest in ETFs and in Vanguard specifically because it's the safest ETFs that you could invest in. I don't gamble. I don't trade. I invest. Do you feel me, Tall Paul?
No, I feel you all the way on that, and that's why he mentions like his homie who kind of life changing experience with the NFTs. I would say that's by far the exception than the rule. Got to be careful with them NFTs because the majority of them are going to lose most people money. But definitely there are some out there that are definitely valuable, especially when you build a community around it, like y'all here are trying to do here. When there's actually a community and it's not just about the money, it's also about the art and the people behind it. That's when it's successful. But yeah, definitely the Vanguard ETFs. That's what I'm in, and then some individual growth stocks and things like that.
Well, I'm a big fan of the T-Fang, Tesla, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, and Google, right? Tell Paul, like, a lot of people have to understand, man, that these companies have a chokehold on our lives, man.
Yeah.
And whether we like it or not, they're going to continue to grow. And if there's anyone out there listening, man, open yourself up a Webull account or a M1 account, or communicate with a financial advisor and start investing. Like for me personally, any money that I put into my investment accounts, I don't plan on ever withdrawing this money because I'm constantly seeing it grow over time. And I really appreciate how Top Paw not only is an advocate for that, but he actually incorporates it in his music subliminally sometimes, just as dope metaphors, and he just blends it right in and makes dope hip hop out of it.
That's not easy.
That's not easy at all, Top Paw.
I don't know how anybody could make stockbroking or you know what I mean? Like
just off the few tracks that I heard, it's just like it's hitting me in my face. Like, yo, man, like Top Paw is not only one of the dopest indigenous hip hop artists I've heard, but man, like it's educational and there's substance behind it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That long-term mentality, salute on that, because that's like you said, too many people is trying to get rich fast and invest, and you gotta be conservative with it a little bit and let that money grow. Don't ever pull it out like you mentioned.
Okay, so let's go right into your tribe. Is it the Ojibwa?
Ojibwe, yep.
Ojibwe.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And that's it's scattered across Canada, Minnesota, North Dakota, right?
Yes, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Canada, and I'm sure, we spread out like everybody else does a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of like the core of where our tribe is, like the Great Lakes region up in the Midwest.
And that's lovely, right, Zero, that a podcast out of LA could showcase an artist like Top Paw, not only his dope music, but the tribe that he's from.
Yeah. If he's definitely connected to it. Because, a lot of what we do here at Las Taslan is that some of us don't have privy to that. We don't have privy to that information because our grandparents or our great-grandparents have been colonized for so long that, we know it's in us, but we grab onto what we can. And so when we grab a brother that knows exactly where his tribe's from, and he could, from what I've researched on your page, you rap in Ojibwe, right?
Yeah, I got one song where I do. And then there's, I mix it in a little bit here and there, some words and stuff in other songs.
That's amazing. That's beautiful because you're keeping an ancient tongue alive and having it, give it its rightful due. You know what I mean? Like, when you speak that language, you're telling colonizers that came in Manifest Destiny that you're still here. When they wanted to wipe you out, that was their intention. Completely like me. Like they can't, like, I don't know where I'm from. I don't know what the tribe is. My grandmother couldn't tell me that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Not because
You're
not
raised in the concrete jungle of East Los, right?
exactly, but my indigenous heart has always been with me. I found myself in Inipis. I found myself in Sundances. I found myself in places. I found other brothers like me who didn't have the references that that others grow up with there too, right? And we met brothers from who were Ojibwe and who were Lakota and were Dene and we all became one family, like in ceremony, right? Now we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
now we have to practice it in life, not just in ceremony. We have to go, hey, this is a business that revolves around indigenous healing, or this is a business that revolves in indigenous fashion. This is a recording artist from an indigenous. That's what me and Armando's real goal. The big picture is that. That's what it is. You know.
Yeah, yeah. No
And
doubt.
and on your Instagram, you said you're the first MC to rap in Ojibwe, right?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
That's
As far
cool.
as I'm aware of, yeah.
That's fucking
That's
cool as
dope,
fuck.
right?
That's
Yeah.
cool as fuck. That's cool.
So,
What about your spirituality? How do you how does that relate into your music?
Spirituality. I speak on it a little bit in some songs. Like there's a track on this EP I released called Creator Got Me. I'll get into it a little bit. But
Mm,
I think it just, it naturally flows into my music because it influences who I am as a person in a big way.
mm. So it's important. Do you go to the what ceremonies are the ones that really kind of hit you and give you cleansing and
Primarily for me, it was like the sweat lodge. It's been a little bit since I've been, but now you know what I mean. As I've grown, I realized that I don't necessarily need ceremony in order to get in touch with my spirituality. You know what I mean? Just like I never needed a church or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I
I
can
know what you mean.
I can get some sage and burn it and smudge at home, lay my tobacco out, give thanks, and that's all I need really. But
That I couldn't have said it better myself because with this pandemic, a lot of things shifted. You know, a lot of elders were like, "Huh, I'm not gonna do things," and we got like a baby getting their breast taken away. We're like, what happened? What about us? And then I just said, you know what? I just said, you know what? Every solstice, I'm burning my fire. I'm putting my tobacco. I'm saying my prayer. And I did it myself. And I think the time came where it was like time to take care of yourself. And when you learn to appreciate when you can go do those things, versus, oh, what happened to my Sunday mass, of Sweat Lodge, just comparably. Not that we're going Christian. I'm just saying that, we got used to it like we go to church,
yeah,
and I could see where you're coming from when you say stuff, when you said that, like, you know what? I ultimately am my own spiritual guide, right? At a certain age, you feel that way, where you feel like, you know what? And then you contribute and you respect those that do the ceremonies to earn their seat, in
yeah,
leading the ceremony.
yeah, most
so
definitely.
according to your Instagram, if I'm not mistaken, a permit to carry instructor, is that to carry a firearm?
Yeah, yeah,
Man, much respect, bro. Because out here in LA and Cali, man, it's quite possibly illegal to carry out here. You know what I'm saying? Publicly, or
Yeah,
to
you
get
can't
a
carry it on your
license.
waist.
Right.
You
Like,
could carry it in your trunk, and it has to be whatever. You know what I mean? Like the chamber and all that
yeah,
stuff
and,
has
and
to be clear.
sometimes I personally carry when I go out in public, but I have to hide it. I have to put it, you know what I'm saying? I can't let anyone know. And I just wish those laws changed. And man,
Well, good luck in
what
California.
was your
Like,
motivation on not only being a proponent on carrying, but being an instructor behind that?
yeah, man. It was crazy, when everything happened with George Floyd, when them cops murdered George Floyd, and uprising that took place after that.
mm,
It was wild. I don't know if you ever watched that movie Purge, but it seemed like that a little bit, like out on our main streets
wow,
out here. Like it was wild, man. It was crazy. I
wow.
mean, it wasn't as bad as that movie, you know what I'm saying? But that's what it gave me the vibe. People was up in arms, you know what I'm saying? It was just normal for that
You
two,
just get
3 week
trampled.
period. 2-3 week period, it was normal to see people just running red lights, standing outside their shops with assault rifles. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, I was part of this whole patrol that was holding things down for the native community, just making sure that our people were safe in the community and that our businesses and properties and things like that and that we have were safe and not being vandalized. There was like this group of young white kids, like 18 years old or something, that came from Wisconsin, and we caught them trying to break into some stores around this native area. And we asked them, like, what are you doing here? And they're like, oh, we just came here for fun. You know what I mean? So you had a lot of that, a lot of outsiders coming to take advantage of the uprising so they could riot and steal, you know what I'm saying, and make money, or, you know what I mean, breaking into liquor stores and whatnot.
I know what
So
that. I kind of know what that's like because I was here when the Rodney King thing happened in Los Angeles, and that was
yeah.
fucking scary as
Oh
fuck.
yeah, if you was there, you know. And so that whole situation, man, like seeing people get ruthless, you know what I mean? Seeing people get ruthless and
You could almost get just
just
trampled by people that just feel like I could do anything right now, and
well,
fuck you. You know, what I'm
yeah,
saying?
if you was crossing the street at the wrong time and a car just went flying down Lake Street over here and you get hit or something, like the cops wasn't gonna help, you know what I'm saying? And not that we called the cops anyway, but like nobody gave a shit except for the community, we had to take care of our own. So that's why I got into the permit to carry thing and trying to educate the indigenous community and the black community and just people of color and people from other oppressed situations, trying to educate them on safe firearms handling, how to get that permit to carry so they can carry legally and not be on some illegal shit. And yeah, that's what it was. And really another part of it was providing that relatable access point to them for safe and responsible firearm ownership and experience. Because I remember when I had to go get my permit to carry, I had to drive like a half hour out of the city to the boondocks, and it was like this all old middle-aged white men, Trump flags flying and shit like that, you know what I mean? And they're in the class justifying police brutality and things like that. I was like, man, our community don't need to deal with that. We can become instructors ourselves, and they can have somebody relatable to learn from.
Yeah, correct.
I really appreciate you saying that because off the bat, a lot of people would think you're a right wing extremist if you're like pro gun, carry license, and all that bullshit, bro. But it's really not like that, man. Sometimes you just have to really protect yourself and the community behind it, you know?
Yeah. Yep. No, I get that too. Like, and that's just like a lot of people who have bad experiences. You know what I mean? They have a negative connotation of firearms because the only time you ever see them on TV or on the radio, whatever, is when they're being talked about in relation to like murder or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like they the TV and the music sometimes creates fantasies about like, oh yeah, murder and shit like that, and that's not really a firearm. Is just a tool. You know what I'm saying? Just like um a car is a tool, you know what I'm saying? Like you can get in a car and go run somebody over, you know what I'm saying? That don't mean the car is dangerous. It matters who's driving it, right? So a firearm is a tool, and if you're responsible and respectful of it, nothing's gonna happen unless you come into a real life situation where you need to defend yourself. But yeah, and that's something that I had to learn myself. So I also understand why people have um misconceptions about firearms.
Especially when things in your city are out of control. Like,
Yeah.
the first thing you look for is like, where's the gun? It's like,
When I saw what happened to George Floyd, I was disgusted.
yeah. But it was done like purposefully, in my opinion. Like they had to do it because they're trying to. I mean, think about it. What happened after that? The marches and then the bricks, right? The bricks are right there. It's like they're trying to set everybody up to accept this. They want people to riot because they have better equipment than people in the street with bricks.
Yeah.
They have tanks, they have helicopters, they have snipers, they have so many things. They want you to be pissed off, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely see that, and I believe it. There was some question about like who really kicked that off here. You know what I mean? And there was some question about whether it was potentially like a law enforcement, because there was some strange white guy who was wearing a mask and everything, and he's just suited up. I think he had like a jumpsuit on or something. Nobody could tell. I wasn't there, but I seen the videos, and I guess this dude put a rock through some building, which kind of kicked everything off. As far as I could tell, but some other people said that he didn't start it, so I don't really know what the facts are of that, but definitely I can see why law enforcement and the government in general would want that to happen, because they can lock people up and
They just feel
whatever
like
their motives are.
I even heard that there was, pre-planned placed brick pallets.
Yeah,
there.
that's what I'm talking
Oh,
about. Yeah,
yeah, no, I think there was. I didn't see him personally, but I think I heard about those. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's like that's not something new or nothing, because you hear stories about, like, I'm sure it's happened in LA, you know what I mean, especially during riots and things like that. I know I've heard of it happening in Chicago, like even firearms, you know what I'm saying? It'll be a random box of guns just sitting in the middle of the street in Southside Chicago. I hear
Yeah.
those kind of stories. So
No,
definitely, I think they were definitely putting pallets out there with bricks, and encouraging people to get like that.
yeah, I mean, over here, what happened with George Floyd and all the protests over here, there's clear video of police officers in uniform breaking windows, right? As the crowd is marching, they're like breaking windows, right? So then everybody turns around, they go, oh, yeah, let's break windows. And then as soon as the crowd starts breaking windows, well, then they come in with the riot gear, they come in with equipment. They were shooting people like point blank with those rubber bullets and shit. Like literally, there's videos of it.
Yeah.
They have better equipment. They're itching to use that equipment, but we don't bite. You know what I mean? We don't swarm them, right?
Right.
Because we haven't gotten to that place yet. It's not like Australia.
And then that stemmed off to propelling BLM, Black Lives Matter. And there's a lot of people on the fence about that. Pro BLM, con BLM. As far as I know, from what I've, researched, these co-founders are like buying $1 million mansions now with the money that they raise, and like the NBA had BLM on their courts. The NFL was backing up BLM, but I don't know. I just saw a big money making scheme between the police, corporate media, just race baiting. But we all know what it was really about. Zero.
Well, it all stems from these events, right? They know exactly what happens when someone's filming someone getting killed. And the way they killed George Floyd wasn't like, usually here in LA, they drive you to an alley, it's like nobody around, and they're choking you out, right? What happened to George Floyd happened right in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
Right? They're looking, they're seeing, they're showing you, we're gonna murder this dude, right? What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, and that's the problem, man. I see people commenting saying like George Floyd was a thug or whatever. Like none of that's relevant to like being treated the way he was treated.
Absolutely.
If I go in the store with counterfeit money, knowing or unknowingly, it doesn't justify a cop putting their knee into my neck and back and suffocating me on camera for 15, 20 minutes or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, all of us got some type of dirt we involved or have been involved in. You know what I'm saying? We've all made mistakes. Ain't none of us perfect. Our mistakes don't justify a cop doing something like that to us on camera, So, yeah.
But
see, that propaganda creates people commenting like this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like tunnel vision, right, Zero?
Well,
you get one perspective, especially if you're dumbed down enough to just follow what corporate media says.
Well, this is what I see, right? I see back in the days in the 60s when news reports would report something and you didn't agree with it, your dad didn't agree with it, or your grandpa didn't agree, they would yell at the TV, right? Fuck that. I don't agree with that, and fuck that. Nowadays, you get to actually say that and put it on a comment. Now you get to see your voice come into like a collective arena of opinions. When before you were trapped in your house as your dad or your uncle or your mom or your dad started ranting about what they're disagreed upon, now this phone, this cell phone, this smartphone, this supercomputer allows you to let everyone know what you feel, right? And so that's how it gets like what you call the echo chamber or focused in on, because that was the one thing about George Floyd that I remember, how fast that just spread. It just like boom, next, it happened a few hours ago in and then by, dinner time, everyone knew about it. Everybody was mad. Everybody wanted to protest. There was, it just, they knew that. They knew that. They knew that.
You saw dollar signs.
They knew that. They said, we need to lock this shit down.
I have to say, I personally am disgusted with police officers. I hate them to the T. When I was younger, when I was in jail, they fucked with me physically, hurt me, beat me in jail just to get the rocks off or some shit. Yeah, I might have been mouthy, but they had no right to like take me to a separate room and like fight me. You know what I'm saying? And when I was younger, as a teenager, I was always fucked with, man. Yeah, I made bad decisions, but they treated me like shit. And to this day, I'm in resentment because of that, because it's like they knew what the fuck they were doing. And was it a coincidence that they were all either Asian cops or white cops?
Wow.
Just that's my experience, Zero.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a middle class area, but as a minority. So they looked at me as the troublemaker, as the kid that shouldn't be in the city. Whoop-de-whoop. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, what happened to George Floyd should have never happened, because counterfeit money, I used to have a lot of counterfeit money back in my day. I used to buy all kinds of shit. Buy dope, drugs, buy jewelry, go into grocery stores, try to flip it. So for anyone that's commenting negatively, do not judge a book by its cover, because if you had a friend or family member that was doing that or by coincidence was doing drugs, you would not want them to be treated that way.
Well, no one deserves a death penalty or a death sentence.
Exactly.
I mean, unless it's like, anyways, that's not in that way, right? Not in that way. Not on the floor, on a street with some 5 cops holding you down and you're pretty much helpless. That's sending a message, right? We can do this, and we're going to continue to do this, right? And really, it's because we don't have the information that we need to know, right? What is that information? It's not defunding the cops. It's understanding the laws that were put in place to keep them in check. When people go, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that's for white people to fucking... If I was a chief, or if I had, voice back then and I was dealing with them, it's like, okay, cool. You wrote down your rules for your own population to follow, not for me to follow. Why the fuck do I need to follow that shit? Right? Because this is my original land. I have my own relationship with the earth and water. Right? Why do I need to follow a constitution written by a foreign person on the lands that my grandfathers have died and were born again here? You understand? So the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is for their community. They should follow that shit. Right? We're sovereign. We have to create that stance. We have to remain sovereign as best as we know how, and do the research and understand that people are operating under color of law. What is color of law? That means that you incorporate a city, you put out a grant, somebody fills that grant up, they hire police officers. That's a color of law. Like, they're just like, you got to go that deep into the way they structure things, so that this is the one thing I've been learning on social media is when people confront police officers and they know more law than the police officer, right? The police officer gets shocked and gets scared at one point. It's like, whoa, wait, dude, I don't want to get sued for $15,000, or, I don't want to because then that's when they really get in trouble. When you fucking sue them, right, for $50,000, $100,000. Now, some cities, like, Los Angeles have $4 million budget to pay off this shit, right? As a matter of fact, the city of Los Angeles has so much money that if something happens in a neighborhood, they give you money. They go, hey, man, that sucks. It happened in your neighborhood and under our municipality, so we're going to give you a victims of crime grant. That's how much money Los Angeles has, right? If something of that nature happens in that neighborhood. So, I mean, we have to be responsible about what, and this isn't an overnight fix. This is going to take 100, maybe 200 years of focused energy. And if you peel back the onion of the United States and the relationship with the indigenous people, you'll realize that those rules, they said they were going to follow, not us. We were already free. You're copying our structure of life. That's the way I feel.
Man, that's deep. We could go all day about this.
Well,
you know, there's two sides of the
'cause
fence for everything.
Right away we get mad. Oh, a cop hurt us. A cop didn't hurt you. Some thug that they hired who put in the grant for whatever it was. Because, you know, SWAT teams are, you know what SWAT teams are? SWAT teams are you can put an RFP for a SWAT team in a community that needs one. So then you go, oh, wow, I'm ex-military. I'm going to join this team and the SWAT team. It's just a grant that the state gave some people, right? But we are uneducated on law that they said they were going to follow.
Yep.
So they go, well, he doesn't even know about these laws, so I'm going to fucking break every one of them and force you to do shit. You know, fuck you. I am going to take you to jail and beat you down. What are you going to do about it? But if you know law, right? If you know how to protect yourself just by understanding the way they are structured, because I've seen it like in YouTube where they fucking challenge like courts. Have you seen that? Tall Paul?
What was that you said?
When they challenge jurisdiction, like say for instance somebody gets arrested for like, I don't know what, you know, being a belligerent or to a cop or whatever, and then these individuals called Moorish nationals. Have you ever heard of them?
No, I don't believe so.
Well, Moorish nationals are dope because they claim their Moorish law, right, and jurisdiction, right, and under jurisdiction, they're not really. In other words, the court has to prove jurisdiction over you, right? And sometimes they'll go, I don't need to do that. Why do I need to do that? I'm the judge here. You're not the judge. And I've seen people really battle them. And at the end, they fucking leave the courtroom because they understand maritime law and admiralty law. These are laws that we need to get really into just to know the basic structure. Because these laws have been coded over with picture a wall and it's a white wall and then they paint it black, but there's a white layer underneath it. That's the way these laws are built, right? Until you question them, until you challenge them. And I'm challenging it. I'm challenging the Constitution. That's their fucking law. That's their rules for their community and their population because they used to live in these little colonies with forts around it. And we used to live outside of that, in the forest, in the desert, in the jungle of it. That's where we come from. That's what I feel.
You know, I could admit there's just only a handful of cops that are probably decent and cool, but the majority of them are pieces of shits. That's how I feel.
They don't have
coming from my
agendas.
experience. I don't know, Tall Paul.
Everyone has agendas.
How do you feel about this, bro? Have you ever had
No,
bad experiences with the police?
Yeah, I've had bad experiences, and people will say, "Oh, yeah, there's good cops, and there's people, you know, who get in it for the right reasons." But the problem is the whole policing system is the problem. So you can't go in there as an individual or even a small group and change things, you know what I mean? So once you become a cop, like you said, you basically become that piece of shit system, and therefore you're going to be a piece of shit. Whether that's, you know, not standing up for somebody who you see is being killed or mistreated by one of your coworkers, or, you know, whether you're doing it yourself. So yeah, no, I agree.
It's more of a power trip, right, Zero?
This is the way I feel. This is, I don't know if this is gonna make sense to both of you or into the LA natives community, but this is the way I see cops. Picture like an old Western movie, right? And remember in that movie, somebody would be, at the saloon playing cards in a table, right? And a sheriff will walk into the saloon and says, I need 4 men to come with me. And we're going to go hunt these guys down. Here's your deputy badge. And they throw him a little badge and it says deputy. That's what I feel cops are, right? These regular guys that someone threw them a badge and said, now you have power. Just because they said, because the sheriff who's wearing a little tin sheriff badge that says sheriff on it, and he has 5 other little sheriff, or not sheriff badges, but deputy badges, right? They don't say sheriff, they say deputy. The person in power is the person who says sheriff because he's the one voted in. At least that's the way it works here. But see, we don't even know the structures of how they have that in place. And there has to be challenges towards their authority. They can't just have authority to kill people. But if we're uneducated in how to challenge it, then they'll continue to do it and do it and do it and do it. And that becomes a monster of power. Because no one will challenge, no one will fire them. Some people get fired though. Some people get fired. Some people get, suspended. The more one person, I heard somebody say on social media.
I just see it that the reason why they throw people under the bus is to cover their asses.
I think what this is the best. Somebody on social media said, do you want to affect your community's police department? Start suing them. And you'll see how fast they change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not everybody has the county of Los Angeles' budget, which is $4 million. I think a year, I believe. Is it 4 million or 4 billion?
It's probably 40 million.
Maybe 40 million. You're right. Because that 4 million doesn't sound too much. But 40 million, like they could buy whatever they want. Like, fuck it. You killed them, all right, fuck it. Give them $1 million there. That we're dealing with Rome. We're dealing with modern day Rome. Right? That's what we're dealing with. Their structure, they're just calling it something else. They're calling it the United States. They're calling it police force. They're calling it, these are Romans because they follow a Gregorian calendar, which is from Rome. The most important thing that we as a community of natives have, there's one important thing that our ancestors gave us. There's one thing they gave us in any tribe, in any Mesoamerican culture, anything, they gave us time. How did they do that, Zero? By marking the solstices and the equinoxes, right? Yep. The Ojibwe, they celebrate those things, right?
I would assume so. I mean, like, I know we were real familiar with all the stars and all that. I don't get too much into that, but yeah.
Well, the stars are, there's no way you can't track a star without counting how many days it is to get to that moment where that star comes out.
Yeah.
It's time. Math. It's time. Music. It's time. And we're all following a fucking Gregorian calendar.
Yep.
We all follow a clock system made up by Roman numerals. And then we ask why we're out of time. Literally, I'm late. I'm out of time. What time is it now? The podcast is over. We're following some shit that's fucked up. But there's an answer to it, and that's following your own traditions. And I'm glad that you're incorporating your traditions in your music, brother.
And this is why Top Paul's on this podcast.
Absolutely.
He's definitely one of the sharpest, dopest artists, period, out of Minnesota. And
in a long time, yeah.
Yeah. You've been in the game for years, man, and I just want to thank you again for jumping on this podcast, man, humbly. Man, Zero, this is a very bright interview right here.
Yeah. And share your handles, your
social media handles.
Yeah,
so social media, it's all It's all at Tall Paul Hip Hop, and it's spelled Paul. Sometimes people will say spell Paul like tall. It's tall Paul Hip Hop. Uh, and then that's TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I try to get
Do you
a
have a
little bit
YouTube?
on there. All of the YouTube. I believe that would be the same. It might be Tall Paul 612, but yeah, I try to make everything consistent. It's either Tall Paul Hip Hop or Tall Paul 612, which is the Minneapolis area code where I'm from.
Perfect. And
Now
then your
look.
latest releases.
Future Ancestors. It's the EP. I just released that a week ago, a little over a week ago. Definitely. I mean, that's on streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music. You can also find it at my personal music page, tallpaulhiphop.bandcamp.com. They're much more generous with like royalties and things like that. So when you buy there, I see more of the money, but any streaming is much appreciated too. And I'm also dropping another album in May about Jim Thorpe. He was a legendary Native athlete who inspired me. His story inspired me as a kid growing up. As a young athlete, I played football, and I found out about him. He was a 1912 Olympic gold medalist, NFL football Hall of Famer, played Major League Baseball. He was a ballroom dance champion.
Wow.
Got offered like a $50,000 boxing contract just off of the status of his name. You could think of him as like, a LeBron James type figure. That was his stature, but like in the early 1900s. So, yeah, I'm doing an album about him called The Story of Jim Thorpe, and that'll be out in the end of May. But right now, I just released Future Ancestors, that EP. You can find that too.
Absolutely. Well, everybody in LA natives and Los Taslan community, go listen to Tall Paul. Follow him. Buy his merch if he has merch available.
I want to make sure, Top Paul, you know that you need to tap in with us when you plan on coming out to LA, bro.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
We host and throw some of the dopest hip hop shows. I personally run one of the illest hip hop websites worldwide. It's called Underground Hip Hop Blog. We host some major events, and June 25th, 2022, we are gonna do it again. We want to get as many dope indigenous hip hop artists in one room, and let's showcase our talent. Zero.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be packed. It's gonna be sold out. The invite's there, Tall Paul. If you ever want to come out to LA and perform in front of a sold out show with like-minded individuals, with fans and enthusiasts of raw, dope indigenous hip hop, bro, like, we are here. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that. No, I appreciate that for sure. I might have to try to make it out there sometime.
Absolutely, man. I'm definitely going to reach out to you after this podcast and hopefully figure it out. Hopefully we could bring you out, man, because it's like, that's what we like to do, right, Zero? Just, bring out cats that are like out of this market.
That are talented.
Yeah.
That have something to say about our indigenous communities, that have something to say about our indigenous heroes like Jim Thorpe, and speaking our original languages in our music.
And me being a hip hop influencer, man, I love Bandcamp. I fucking hate Spotify, iTunes. I hate YouTube because they're out to kill the independent artists because they keep 80, 90% of the revenue, and they don't even tell you. They make you think that you get the majority of it, but you don't. So, guys, Tall Paul said to visit his Bandcamp. Make sure you type in on Google Bandcamp Tall Paul. Buy that record, because if you do buy or purchase or stream that single or that record, he gets literally 98% of that funding.
Perfect. That's a good.
And that's
system.
what I'm all about.
It's a good system.
And if you have Tall Paul, if you have physical CDs, guys, listeners, viewers, make sure you guys support.
Maybe I'll release Tonali Nagual mixtape on Bandcamp.
Do you have a Bandcamp, Zero?
I don't.
Oh, you don't? Yeah, we need to make you one.
I haven't released music on like for monetization.
And Tall Paul, I want to thank you for actually shouting out your Bandcamp, man. Like, that's a true artist right there, bro. Like, I'm on the same page with you, brother.
Oh yeah, no doubt, for sure.
Absolutely, brother. Well, thanks for showing for coming on our show, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yo, Tall Paul, thanks again for the interview, man. And I will be chopping it up with you shortly, brother. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thank you for having me.
Tall Paul.
Wow, that was a good interview right there.
Minnesota. Yeah, he's really smart.
I love his music, man. I'm actually
He's dope.
on the drive home. I'm gonna go check out his whole catalog on Bandcamp.
Yeah. If we could support him, that'd be great. Because it only comes back to us when we support our own community. Then we show respect to ourselves, right? When you share the LA Natives podcast and get our YouTube, to the numbers that it needs to be, you're showing pride in your own self, because we're a reflection of you. That's it. There's no one better here. We actually put the show together out of love, right? No one pays us to get here. We have no sponsors. This is all out of love for ourselves, right? I love myself. I love my community, and I love my indigenous blood. And we need to break cycles that need to be challenged, right? We need to understand that we can't complain about police officers if we don't know the structures in which they operate, right? We need to know the rules in which they're supposed to operate so we can challenge it and do it with authority, right? That's the only way. But when you peel it, when you're dealing with decolonization, it's like an onion, man. You got to peel off so many layers of it, right? And then you get to the core. When you get to the core is your own humanity. Where do you stand on this earth? Where do you stand on Mother Earth? What traditions do you follow, if you have any? And if you don't have any, which traditions are you seeking out to implement, not just to know? Sometimes our people get stuck with just knowing. Oh, yeah, I read that book. Oh, yeah, I know that ceremony. Oh, yeah, I know, but don't know how to share. We need to share. This is the sharing time. There's a lot of things being taken away from us. The economy is going crazy. But if we keep our fundamentals, which is respect for yourself, because you're a part of a great, beautiful Mother Earth, and a community. We got to believe in our own community, man. It's time. I feel happy being able to come back on today and share my opinion.
And we're peaking right now. We got a lot of people tuning in, man. That was a great interview, Zero.
Cool, man. Yeah, I mean, we're here to expose people in every corner of Anahuac.
For everyone watching, we got Plant-Based Aslan. We got Malinani Superfood open mics.
This Friday.
And best believe you guys save that date. Everyone that's tuning in and it's going to listen to this on Spotify, June 25th. Wasn't it June 25th last year?
Yes.
And it's going to be this year.
Nice.
And we're planning on doing it annually.
You know why we picked June 25th?
Exactly. Go ahead and break it down.
Zero. It was Custer's last stand. That's a victory on us. That's a victory. So when you come to the show, you're showing that you were a part of victory, right? You remember the victory against these people.
And guys, we have to compete against the mainstream underground, mainstream commercial hip hop. My goal is to gather thousands one day to enjoy a collection of dope indigenous hip hop artists. And I'm devoted to that, Zero. You know that.
Yeah.
It takes so much work and time and resources to get these shows organized and put together. But man, it's in the works. So for June 25th, 2022, we are working on the lineup. I expect everyone that's tuning in, if you're from out of state, out of the country, fly in, drive to LA. June 25th is your night, right, Zero?
Yes. It's a day that we all gather in celebration of our own selves, our own power, our own ancestors. I believe they come out on that day and they're waiting for us to celebrate with them their bravery, right? Because the point wasn't to destroy the U.S. The point was to show the U.S. that you're not all powerful, that we still have mystical beings and warriors that can come from the ether to protect us. That's what we're doing here, man.
It's not going to be a $20 show. It's not going to be a $30 show. It's going to be a $10 event. It's going to sell out.
Pre-sale.
So once we release this ticket link, make sure you guys cop it. Make sure you guys make your plans. It's going to be on a Saturday night. I think it was a Sunday night last time, right? This year, they gave us the Saturday night because the Catch One was so impressed, they went ahead and donated their venue again to us.
Nice.
And gave us the peak time and peak day, Saturday night.
Cool, because,
you will be performing your new tracks, right?
Yes. I'll be performing Global Pandemic, Urban Native, and most of my mixtape that is unreleased.
We're inviting Ozamali. We're inviting Sub One.
Yeah.
And if there's any vendors that are interested, feel free to hit us on a DM, email us at the LA Natives Podcast.
We're only going to have 6 vendors. So
6 vendors. Yeah, that's all I could fit.
yeah, but that's what I'm trying to tell the vendors, don't hesitate when we give the availability for the tables. Don't hesitate.
Do not hesitate.
They're not going to be like they're going to go really quick, and we got some really cool surprise headliners, and we really want to just put this celebration out there for our future generations, like brother was talking about, our future ancestors, right? And those ancestors probably aren't born yet. They're in the spirit of the youth. And we're trying to gather the youth, right? To show them that they're powerful, that they're loving, that they matter. Not like in a protest or on a T-shirt. You matter because you're a complex human with a nervous system and a blood flow and a brain and a heart. All these things are very complex, unexplainable things. Use that magnificence and power to affect your loved ones, your community, yourself. Right? That's my journey. I've been on this journey of healing myself. Like brother said, Tall Paul said, I came to find out that, I could burn my own sage and put out my own tobacco and say my own prayer. And you can use that power now. Now's the time. Now's the time to really be confident in that. You are all you got. We are all we got. So we have to be strategic, communal, and most of all, loving.
Next week, we got Polka One.
Nice. I like her.
She's dope.
She's a dope MC.
She's actually one of the dopest female MCs out of LA right now, man.
Really dope.
Just coincidentally, she's native.
And that's cool that we're featuring somebody that's been a part of our events.
Yes.
Because Polka was at the first event.
Yes, and she
right?
killed it. She rocked it. And
It
she's
was
going to be
fire.
invited this year as well.
Cool. Well, that's great.
We got 2 stages, Zero. We're
Yeah.
going to have artists in the tavern room and artists in the noise room. So
Okay.
there it is, guys. It's going to be a 2-stage event. The place fits about 300. We're going to have 6, maybe 7 vendors. Zero's going to be killing it. As you guys all know, Zero's a legendary indigenous hip-hop artist with a vast catalog. And we got some surprise headliners.
Yeah, I can't wait to announce them because I think for $10, it's gonna be it's gonna sell out. And I hope don't hesitate when we put out the link too, because
We were kind of nervous for the first year, right? Because we didn't know what to expect.
yeah, but we know that the family, the LA Natives family, the LA Natives community, they show up, and they show up from far. Some people
Even though we
drove.
had some people, against the event, we overcame that.
Yeah, well, this time we hopefully don't have to deal with any drama
course
because we're not malicious. We're trying to gather, we're trying to inform, and we're trying to heal. Because there's some very wicked things that are happening out there, right? Like, current events is off the charts right now.
Yeah, and I want to get into more current events, Zero. Like next
Yeah.
week, we're gonna go ahead and sit down and talk about some current events that are happening, just on the norm, and then some indigenous current events.
Yeah, absolutely. And we should highlight, like we're highlighting the Custer's Last Stand.
Yes, Custer's Last Night.
The Battle Bighorn.
Yeah, the Battle Bighorn Part 2, June 25th, man. We're gonna stick with that name, Zero. I think us having to change the name the first year ended up working to our favor.
Wow.
Because I love that gimmick and that theme.
Right. It's more of a
behind-
theme than
yeah.
a gimmick.
No,
'Cause
I'm
gimmick-
sorry. No.
I just
It
don't want
came
people
out
to
wrong.
I don't,
No, it came out wrong.
No, but
I
you know
love
how
the
critical.
theme.
You know how critical. Our community.
Yeah, our
is.
community is very, very critical on what we name our goddamn events, guys.
Right.
Like
So-
we had, just I don't know, but this year it's gonna be bigger and better $10 event. We got some crazy special guests.
How many $10
We got Deso
events?
Somok. I want to invite Deso Somok.
Oh, for sure.
He's one of the dopest,
For sure.
Spoken word artists, man. And I think you were planning on a special designated VIP area upstairs above the tavern room where you're going to have some Malinali superfood drink samples and potentially some vegan food, right? Just for a select amount of people and
The
artists.
VIP, whoever buys.
That's what we're working on, guys.
Yeah, we're still negotiating with the venue because, obviously they sell food and drinks and things like that. And we're not trying to take away from the bar.
Exactly.
We're trying to keep that. Unfortunately, when we deal with Hollywood venues and things like that of that nature, you have to fulfill a quota. So, I thought for VIP,
we want to make sure we support the bar and the venue because the venues,
for sure.
they staff the entire night. There's a sound man, there's a visual guy, there's security, there's bartenders, man. Much love, right?
Yeah, by no means am I saying not to buy that. What I'm saying is that for the VIP individuals that are gonna pay a little bit extra to be up there, they're gonna have this. We're gonna
be able to meet artists.
Yeah, they're gonna meet the artists, all of us together, right? And then also have some plant-based food and some superfood drink. So it's not just a table, and then you take a picture and you say see you later. No, it's more of a intimate getting to know you and discussing things, because I know at least where my audience, they want to know my opinion on certain things. They want to know what my view is or what my perspective is.
They always want to pick your brain.
Yeah, well, when you see, you're responsible on creating your perspective, right? And that is what books you read, what religions you follow, what all that comes together, and it creates a perspective, right? I'm honored that people want to know mine, but I'm humble about it because I don't know anything more than anyone else. And there's tons of people who know more than me. But I do know one thing, and I'm very confident about speaking from my tonal and my heart, right? And my message is very clear because I used to have to talk to nonverbal autistic kids for 20 years. I had to learn a language that they didn't even have. So when I communicate with my brothers, my community, and my loved ones, I come from my heart. And that's the way, that ancestral way. There was no gimmick. There was no need for it because you were your authentic self. And that's what we need to focus on as a community. And that's what I focus on when I share my opinion. And I'm sure Dakota Bear has an opinion. And, oh, shit, oh, damn.
Could be a clue.
So rewind that one, Spotify. But, I want everybody's opinion to be shared and know that there are some brave people that are challenging a very unstable time because freedom of speech is at stake. The freedom of having your own ability to heal yourself is at stake. The freedom to live anywhere you want is at stake, right? So these are the type of measures that they're putting in place very subtly, and they learned from their previous experiences of trying to conquer the world, right? In a very oppressive and authoritarian way. We as natives have dealt with that already. We've dealt with it so many times over the 500 years that we should be able to deal with their new version of it because it's a very lazy version, right? It's not. I'm not saying it's not dangerous, but it's not very. Everybody gives it up to the tech guys in charge right now, right? Like the Bill Gates, the Jeff Bezos, all these people that are trying to put in measures of accounting, right? Because that's all computers are. It's just accounting, right? We want to know how many people are on this earth. We want to know what you're doing to earn your place on this earth, right? Because, there's some people saying some crazy, crazy stuff. But you know what? I wanted to talk about that this Wednesday, but I'm going to save it for next show, right? Because I really want to go into somebody who has the audacity to say why you should be living on this earth. You don't have that power. You're not a part of the universe. The universe doesn't even speak a language. The universe speaks beyond our comprehension. And there are individuals on this earth that are declaring themselves so intelligent that they can say, you don't belong here anymore. And there's going to be some more discussion about that next week. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to share my opinion. I want to shout out everybody who listens to this podcast and has gone to Malinali Superfoods and has kept the doors open there for this long. I want to thank Armando for taking some time to do this podcast today and know that we're working together as a team to affect our community and community out there. You got to come to the event June 25th. You got to support the open mic and express yourself. Let's create the community that we always dreamed of, a community that always is there for each other. You know, when the Spaniards came and they started taking away the elders and they started taking away the moms and the dads and all they left were the children. Well, the children gathered together and they took care of themselves, right? With the inspiration of their mother and their father and the people that were a casualty of this reality.
We have a new shirt on our website.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, check it out. We have some new merchandise there. But, yeah, we're gonna cut the show off and, check out our new website, check out our new merchandise. And we'll get more into the current events.
Support
next Wednesday.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Spread the word. Go on our website. Get some merch. We got some new gear on deck. Next week, we're going to be releasing another design. And we're fully booked for the next 2 to 3 months. So spread the word. We are fully back. Next week, we got Polka 1. Damn, Zero. It's going to be an amazing show next week.
Absolutely, brother. I mean, I can't say, I'm excited to be back on. I'm excited to see the chat just blow up. Everybody on the chat, shout out to everyone, whether you had a positive opinion or not. Because I know sometimes, people tell me, hey, did you see that comment from so-and-so? And I was like, I don't take it personal, man. Everybody has the right to an opinion. And I'm not claiming to know everything and to have the right words to say all the time. I just know my skills, and my skills working with autistic kids that are nonverbal and violent allowed me to open my heart and be able to communicate with individuals, and that's been my talent for a while. And that's why I became a poet. And that's why I'm sharing my opinion on this podcast. But I do it in a humble way. So don't ever feel like, or I hope I never give the impression that I know more than I do. Because I don't know nothing. I only know my own heart and my own experience and my own conclusions and my own perspective. If that helps you, I give that with all my love, right? So we'll see you next Wednesday, my brothers, sisters. Thank you for joining us. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Jenny, my partner. Shout out to my family, my kids. And we'll see you next Wednesday. La sokamatli o meteo tonansin tonatu.